Hello students, in this lecture we are going to analyze the short story The Thief written by Ruskin Bond. So before moving on to the short story, we can try to understand a few facts about the author. Ruskin Bond was born in the year 1934. He is an Indian author, but we can find that it's in certain point of life he moves to Britain, he stays there for some time, he gets his education from there and then he comes back to India. Now, he is recognized for his work or his contribution to children's literature. We can say that the growth of children's literature in India happened because of him. Most of his writings are focused on children. His short stories, there are certain wonderful short stories which is very entertaining to the children. Now, in 1992, he won the Sahitya Academy Award. In 1999, he won the Padma Shri. Now, uh, he can be considered as a visual writer because he focuses more on human behavior. His focus is on human characteristic, human behavior. And because of that, sometimes he is trying to explore the innocence of the character, or sometimes it is the complexity of the human nature that he is talking about in his story or in his works. So, these are a few facts about Ruskin Bond, about his style of writing. Now we can move on to the story. We can try to understand the story, what is happening in the short story, The Thief. Now, when the story begins, we have a narrator who is the title character. We can call him the title character because he is the thief. The narrator, he himself is the thief. And from his conversations, we can understand that he is a 15-year-old boy and a 15-year-old boy who is in search of his next victim. So he is like a prey. He is the thief who is looking for his next victim in order to execute a new crime. So he meets another man, 25-year-old person, Anil, and he starts having conversations with Anil. And from that conversation, the narrator introduces himself as Hari Singh. And he even mentions that not to Anil, but to the readers, he mentions that Hari Singh is not his real name. He has to keep changing it because in order to avoid being caught, he is a thief. So every place he commits crime, he has a new name. And here the name he has chosen for himself is Hari Singh. Now he's talking to Anil and he's trying to influence Anil by his words and by his actions, by his gestures. So we can find that Hari Singh is smiling. Hari has a small smile on his face, and that kind of influences Anil. Now, in the conversation, Hari also mentions that he is interested in working for Anil. But Anil says that he does not have a lot of money to pay Hari. Then our narrator asks whether he can take care of him. Then Anil again responds asking that, can you cook? Hari doesn't know how to cook, but in order to stay with Anil, he says, yes, I can cook. That's no issue. The next day itself, when Anil takes Hari with him to his house, and we can find that Hari makes food for him. And Anil realizes that the boy doesn't know how to cook, but here he's not angry. And instead, he says that, I can teach you. I can teach you how to cook. It's not a big deal. From these small incidents, we can understand the character. We are able to draw a character sketch of Anil. He is a very compassionate, very kind person. He is not angry for Hari making a fool of Anil. There's nothing like that. He is a very kind and compassionate person. And we can also find that Anil understands Hari doesn't know how to read and write, and that therefore decides to teach him how to read as well and write as well. And we can also understand that Anil is not a very rich man. He's not a very wealthy man. He writes for magazines and he gets money. He earns money like that. Sometimes when he is not able to have a lot of money, he borrows it from some people. He takes loans and then he spends it for something. And when he gets the money from writing for magazines, he repays the loan. So that is how he lives, and he's a very careless person. So that is also a statement made by Hari. Anil is a very careless person, not a greedy person, but a careless person. So one day, Anil comes back with a huge sum of money and says that he was able to sell a book to a publisher, so he's very happy he got a lot of money. And this huge sum of money tempts Hari to steal from Anil. Now we can see that Hari makes plans to steal it, and at night when Anil is sleeping, he steals the money and leaves. Now it is raining, he reaches the railway station and he finds that the train is moving. So he decides to take a train to Lucknow, and he finds that the train is moving, and usually it is possible for him to run and board the train. But this time something was forbidding him from doing so, and something held him back. He did not know what it was at that point of time. Later, he walks back. He doesn't know where to go, because in this place, the only person he knows is Anil, and he has uh, committed a crime there. He has stolen money from Anil. Therefore, it's not possible for him to go back. So he's thinking of what all he has done, what he should be doing next, and he feels some sort of sadness. He feels that, Anil would not be sad because he has lost the money. He know the character of Anil, and he is sure that Anil will not be sad because he has lost the money, but because Hari has broken his trust. So that would be the reason why Anil will be sad, and that is what Hari is thinking about. And later he also thinks about the education, how Anil used to take classes for him about, how he used to teach him how to read and write. And then suddenly there comes a change in his thought, and he feels that, if he is able to learn how to read and write, he can be a better person. He can maybe have he can get respect in life, he can get a better job, he can have a better life. And that thought comes to him, and he decides to go back to Anil. So when he reaches back home, he finds that Anil is sleeping. He slips back the money where it was, and he also goes to bed, and he wakes up very late. Now, when the next day Hari wakes up, Anil is already up and he has made the tea for Hari as well. And Anil, he's smiling as usual. Every day he smiles, and now he gives 50 rupee note to Hari and says that, every day now I am going to pay you. That is the decision I have taken. I'm going to pay you every day, because initially it was said that he does not have enough money to pay Hari. So he decides, or he says that, I'm going to pay you every day. I'm going to pay you regularly. And when he gives this money to Hari, he notices that the money is wet, because yesterday it was raining when he was walking to the railway station and back, it was raining, and the money was in his pocket and it got wet. So Hari understood that the situation, whatever had happened yesterday, Anil is very well aware of it, but Anil seems not to talk about it. He doesn't want to acknowledge that Hari is a thief. And Anil continues with the conversation, saying that, I'm going to teach you sentences. I'm going to teach you how to write sentences. Now we were learning words. I'm going to teach you how to write sentences. And Hari is very happy, and he understands the goodness in Anil. So, a very simple story, nothing complicated. There is no complicated plot structure, nothing like that. And through the story, what Ruskin Bond is trying to say is that kindness, when there is kindness shown by a person, it touches the heart of the other individual and brings the goodness in that individual as well, brings a change in that person as well. So, when human values and relations are properly kept, or when there is human values and human relationships are given importance, there will be goodness in every people. That is what human values and relations are essential in life and can transform a person. So these are the major ideas that Ruskin Bond is trying to communicate through this short story. A very simple story, with nothing complicated, no complicated words, no complicated plot, and this is the only moral that Ruskin Bond is trying to communicate through the story. So that is what we have discussed in this lecture. Thank you.